Kevin Shaw, and you're watching Long Haul. Woo!
Long before there was such a thing as the interstate highway system, or even the transcontinental railroad, there was the Tennessee River. And there, nestled between the Appalachian Mountains and the Cumberland Plateau, sits Chattanooga, Tennessee. Once a home to the Muskogee and Cherokee Indians, Chattanooga was born from the 1816 settlement of Ross's Landing, that is, before becoming the central transportation hub for the southern United States. Its centralized location on the Tennessee River places it equidistant from the neighboring cities of Knoxville, some 134 miles northeast, and Nashville, slightly over 100 miles to the northwest, as well as being 118 miles north of Atlanta and even 147 miles northeast of Birmingham, Alabama. That made it an ideal candidate to become the adjoining hub for several key Southern Railroad lines, earning its name as the city where cotton meets corn. A decade later, Chattanooga would become a hotly contested prize during the American Civil War, as the American Army battled Southern Confederates over the industrial artery. Chattanooga and the surrounding territory was the location of some half-dozen major battles, with ownership of the city trading hands several times. Today, Chattanooga retains its place as a major hub of industry and commerce, as well as a welcome spot for sightseers, tourists, and vacationers. Its fixture along the shores of the Tennessee River also makes it an ideal stop for boaters and jet skiers journeying along the historic waterway. For this episode of Long Haul, we were joined with Tim McKercher of Sea-Doo to stop and soak in some of the hidden beauty of this American treasure. To check out the local flavor, put on our tourist hat, and rack up a few hundred miles on a pair of supercharged 2018 Sea-Doos. I aboard our long-term test RXTX 300, and Tim riding a 230 horsepower GTX. Our first of 3 days in the River City began with a jaunt north to the Tennessee River Park to launch our Sea-Doos early that morning. It took mere minutes before approaching Chattanooga's towering waterfront. The downtown area is a blend of historic and futuristic, with the tall angular peaks of the glass-topped Aquarium looming high overhead, while ancient smokestack paddle boats sat parked nearby. The Hunter Museum of American Art is a smooth-sided contemporary edifice of glass and stone, perched high on a cliff face overlooking the river. Facing the downtown promenade from across the historic Walnut Street Bridge is the North Shore District, filled with locally owned boutique stores and restaurants. We continued our journey west, passing our shorefront hotel, Marriott's Spring Hill Suites, featuring its own dock and mooring services, as well as the fantastic Scotty's on the River restaurant. It happily served as our home away from home for the few days we were here. Passing below the shadow of Chattanooga's historic Martin Luther King District and around Moccasin Bend, we peeled right around Williams Island and entered into Cache Canyon, a lush green gulch blanketed with maple, sycamore, and oak trees. As a bit of a semi-closeted Disney geek myself, I couldn't help but remember that while Walt was directly inspired by Mark Twain's Tales of the Mississippi, the topography and plant life found surrounding Disneyland's Frontierland, and more specifically the rivers of America, are almost direct representations of the Tennessee River Valley. If ever I was to pilot a 300 horsepower Sea-Doo through an amusement park, this would be it. We spotted over half a dozen white-tailed deer sipping the water before spiriting away, frightened by the fast-moving Sea-Doos. These craft are nearly perfect for rides like these. Sea-Doo is absolutely unmatched in its attention to rider comfort, and its ergonomic cockpit is unlike any watercraft on the market. The saddle is low with pinched coves at the knees, allowing the rider to cruise casually without the strain on one's hips like other brands. We consistently employed the BRP premium sound system, listening to our favorite tunes communicated via Bluetooth to my phone locked away in the RXTX's waterproof glove box. we took our ride into Nickajack Lake to the Hales Bar Marina for fuel and refreshments. The site is the former location of the nation's first hydroelectric dam, now long since dismantled and abandoned. Today, the spot serves as a riverfront resort, welcoming visitors to rent a floating cabin and enjoy a worry-free weekend on the lake. Properly fueled and recharged, we continued towards Nickajack Dam, past where Highway 24 arcs high above on a trestled bridge. Journeying back towards Chattanooga, we took our time passing through the unbroken scenery of the Prentice Cooper State Park, encompassing the Tennessee River Gorge, all dwarfed by the Raccoon Mountain, Signal Mountain, and Lookout Mountains high above. With a day like today, it would be easy to conclude our stay in Chattanooga, satisfied that we had made enough memories. But, alas, our trip wasn't nearly over. The next morning, we hailed a taxi and ventured off to explore a portion of Chattanooga's storied history, beginning with the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum. The largest historic operating railroad in the South, the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum continues to offer railroad service for the Chattanooga and Chickamauga railways, transporting tourists throughout the southern states, as well as back in time, across rail lines once used and fought over by warring campaigns in America's bloodiest war. We hopped a ride aboard the Missionary Ridge Local for an hour's ride over 6 bridges and through a pre-Civil War tunnel, dead-ending at a turn-of-the-century turntable before sending us back. The massive 484 steam-powered locomotive erupted smoke and embers, jolting and jerking passenger cars over the same stretch of narrow-gauge Western and Atlantic rail as the Great Locomotive Chase of 1862. It's a great piece of American history that I strongly recommend you look up. On the morning of our final day in Chattanooga, we opted to check out the famous Tennessee Aquarium. Recognized as one of the country's top public aquariums, the Tennessee Aquarium is broken up into 2 major buildings, the Ocean Journey and the River Journey. The Ocean Journey exhibit contains a huge 618,000-gallon tank, recreating the environment of the Flower Garden Banks National Marine Sanctuary found in the Gulf of Mexico. It's stocked full of sand tiger sharks and green sea turtles, as well as other notable fish. The tank also features an undersea cavern which you can walk through as fish swim overhead. At the top level, there's a touch tank populated with small sharks and rays, as well as a butterfly atrium housing several South American species. Across the courtyard is the River Journey exhibit, containing a 400,000-gallon tank, which was, at the time, the world's largest freshwater aquarium in the world when it was built. The exhibit is home to North American river otters, songbirds, native fish species, and even an alligator bayou recreating the Mississippi Delta, populated with American alligators and a pair of snapping turtles. Additionally, there's a River Giants exhibit, featuring giant freshwater fish from around the world, like alligator gar, red-tailed catfish, and giant freshwater stingrays. During our visit, we were entreated by a newly added turtle exhibit, displaying a vast variety of species from across the world, with turtles of every shape, size, and color. In many cases, they were as curious of us as we were of them. While we certainly could have stayed another 3 days, our time in Chattanooga drew to a close. We are incredibly grateful for Tim and the team at SeaDoo and the Chattanooga Area Convention and Visitors Bureau who welcomed the Watercraft Journal so openly. If you're looking for some absolutely unspoiled scenery, a trip back through America's history, or a perfect spot to take the family, we cannot recommend Chattanooga enough. In fact, we've been back twice since filming this trip, and there's still lots left to see. Thanks again for watching Long Haul. Make sure to check us out Monday through Friday at www.watercraftjournal.com. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this video channel for the latest videos and updates.